Welcome to this episode of Dialogues with Creators. This is the 9th season, and I'm designating it that way because I took a month off from posting anything in July so that I could work ahead on scripts, interviews, and production. If I figure I have 2 seasons per year of the podcast, that puts me in year 4.5, which is about right because I started in April 22. For a podcast by a single, not well-known or financed person, that's doing pretty good. You came to this podcast to hear something about creative people and creativity. Today's guest is Jonathan Rackley. Jonathan has many gifts, and we'll get into those, but I chose Jonathan at this time because of his involvement in a group I support, which is Toastmasters International. If you don't know about Toastmasters or Jonathan Rackley, you need to listen. Good evening, Jonathan Rackley. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara. I've been looking forward to this.
Okay. Just so folks know, this is July 9th. It's about 7 o'clock, Thursday evening. It's thundering a little bit outside here in Dalton, so we'll see where that goes. Sometimes, Jonathan, I read something about people, and then other times I let them tell their story. And I like that better because then I don't have to sound staged. And I also, if I have to ask a question, I will. So why don't you tell us who you are?
I love the fact that you asked me who I am. Nowadays, the identity question is a big, hot topic. Mm-hmm. And who I am is actually what determines what I do. I think most people get it backwards. So who I am, most and foremost in my mind is I am a child of God. More specifically, I'm a Christ follower. I'm also a husband of 30 years. I have 3 little grandchildren. Notice I didn't mention anything about the children. I am a lot of different things, but who I am is what makes those things I do happen. Because I am a child of God and I am a Christ follower, that tells me a few things that are really important. It tells me that I'm loved. I'm loved by grace. I'm far from perfect. I need to wear the t-shirt. Please forgive me. God's still working on me. That needs to be my motto. I'm very far from perfect, but I know that I'm loved. And because God has given me this gift of teaching, I enjoy serving people by teaching. Now, I'm not a traditional teacher. I have no titles for that. There's nothing that says officially that I'm a teacher, but that's all that I do. Mm-hmm. I teach at work. I teach at church. Whoever will stop and listen long enough, eventually they'll get a lesson. That's just who I am. That's what God made me to be. And it is a joy for me because the way that I love people, the way that I was designed is by teaching.
Okay. So folks who are listening, you just got a good dose of Jonathan's positivity and his attitude towards life. So you can see why I like him and why I wanted him on the program. Let me ask you that. Have you always lived in Dalton? This your hometown?
I am definitely a Daltonian through and through. I was born and raised here. Okay. I am 2, now 3 generations of working in a carpet mill. My grandfather worked in a carpet mill. My dad worked in a carpet mill. We actually all worked in the same building at one time. Wow. And so this is definitely a tradition for me. It's kind of a family thing. And I just sort of took it in a different direction than they did. But yes, I'm a Daltonian. And if you're from Dalton, that's typically what you do. It's working a carpet mill.
Yes. Or some connection to it. Didn't you say, though, that you had people in your family that are in restaurants, which I think is interesting?
It's really weird. There's a really strange connection there. My mom owns a restaurant and my son owns a restaurant. So I'm in the middle and do not own a restaurant.
Okay.
I will just be honest with you. The reason I'm not in that work is because I know how hard that work is. Now, what I do is hard, but it's a different kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of opportunities to teach when you're running a restaurant. So it doesn't fit me. It's not a good fit.
Yeah. Running a restaurant is running. Yeah. It fits. Oh, okay. I thought you had an aunt that did too.
My aunt previously ran a restaurant. She just recently retired.
Okay.
We sort of all got the start as far as my family goes. because of my uncle Luther, who opened the original Mr. Biscuit in Dalton. He and my Aunt Betty ran the Mr. Biscuit for many, many years. And then it just kind of got passed down to my mother and my aunt. And my aunt recently retired, and my mom is still doing it, but no longer with Mr. Biscuit, obviously. She has her own restaurant.
Yeah, I think that's neat that your family's so close. So this podcast is called Dialogues with Creators, and I don't ever give a standard or set definition of what I mean by creativity. It's more about how my guests use it in their lives and what it means to them. So what do you think about when you think about creativity or being creative?
Well, it's sort of like a joke that I like so much. When God created man, he created us from the dust of the earth. And if scientists were to try to duplicate that, they would have to use dirt. And then God would respond to them by saying, get your own dirt. And the reason that applies to creativity is all of us, really what we're doing is we're taking something that's already there and we're making something new out of it. Creative people usually find a new way of saying something that's already been said, but because it's so new, it's appealing. And that's what makes it wonderful, is because you have all these raw materials all around us all the time, whatever we're talking about, whether it be words or stuff. You're just taking the stuff that's already there and combining it in a new and different way that people have never seen before. So is it original? Yeah, but not really. It's always been there. It's just you came up with a new way to explain it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it's a theory that I came across in my research, that what is seems creative is usually something that is familiar so that people can understand it, but different enough that it distinguishes itself. And there's a term for it, and I've forgotten. It's an acronym, but yeah, the creativity is not like we're actually creating in the sense that God did from nothing, ex nihilo, as they say, but that we are using things that are already, we're building on what other people have done. And so that being the case, I know you work in safety in the workplace. I don't know a lot about your job, and you don't probably want to mention the name of your company at this point. But in fact, I attended one of the Toastmasters meetings recently for a visit, and you gave a speech about how safety is your passion. And I thought that was very interesting. And so can you explain what you do in safety?
Okay, so first off, I will tell you that I'm very proud to work for Engineer Forbes. I have no shame in saying that. Mr. Shaw, who is the founder of my company and founder of other companies, you might be able to guess the name of the other company that he founded. He is a wonderful man. He's a good man of good moral character. And I am so pleased to be working for him. I know who I'm working for. I like who I'm working for as a person. I like him. But back to your question, the reason I'm so passionate about safety, it's very simple. It's not complicated. I don't want anyone to get hurt. And it's my job to try to figure out ways to keep that from happening. A lot of times it's reactive, but being the creative person that I am, I'm always looking for proactive approaches, things that haven't been done before, so that I can keep people safe. Do I have it all figured out? Yes. Nope. But I'm still working on it. There's ideas that come to me all the time and I present them. Sometimes those ideas stick and we get a lot better, and sometimes they don't. And then I have to rethink again. But either way, it's very challenging to come up with new ways to keep people safe. And that's one way that I use creativity in my job.
So this is safety like on the factory floor kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So it involves big machinery and such.
Yes. Now, machinery is very interesting that you went there. The machinery is dangerous because it's big, heavy equipment that makes carpet. But the most dangerous piece of machinery in the plant is the lift truck. These lift trucks are 15,000-pound vehicles with all sorts of different people driving them. It's a very heavy piece of machinery. And you can imagine 15,000 pounds with a spear on the front of it. And that's what these people drive on a regular basis. And so when there is a lift truck to lift truck impact, or God forbid, a lift truck to person impact, it's a very serious thing. And so that's the most difficult and most dangerous part of what I do as far as keeping people safe, is educating people on how to live with, work around, and deal with lift trucks.
That is really interesting. That's something people would not think about but I've heard people talk about working on lift trucks as if it's, I don't know, as if it's nothing. They're just sort of about it. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, how much weight can a lift truck carry?
Our lift trucks are rated for 2,000 pounds.
Okay.
That's typical. Now, in our industry, that's pretty normal. But if you got into construction, it could easily double that. But our carpet mill lift trucks are the capacity is 2,000 pounds.
Okay. Yeah. So do you teach in terms of like in a classroom, or do you do more like going and walking around?
Both. I do both.
Okay.
I have orientation 2 days a week. These are new hires. These are people who have never, in some cases, they've never been in a carpet mill before. My new hires today, most of the group there came from a restaurant background. So they've never been in a plant before.
Wow.
And that's very common for that to happen. So there's a lot of things they don't know. And so all of a sudden I become their teacher to let them know about these things that they need to know so that they're safe. And I do that 2 days a week for the new hire.
And the rest of the time you walk around?
And the other part is audits, which is what you're referring to as walking around.
Right.
Talking to the people, educating the people on the floor, making sure they have all the proper PPE, taking suggestions, taking ideas, turning in reports for them. I like doing all those sorts of things. When I'm out there among them and with them, they know that I'm there to serve them. So they'll give me the good ideas. They'll ask me for what they need. And I just do my very best to take care of their needs as they ask me.
So did you start in the carpet industry on a lift truck?
I have driven one before. My very first job, I was a janitor for Shaw Industries, working for the truck shop. And I drove the lift truck. It was my job to dump the hopper into the open top. That was the first time I was ever exposed to a lift truck myself. And that's been 30 years ago, a long time ago. Yeah. So I have done it myself. I'm much happier teaching it than driving it.
Oh, okay. What's the big challenge of a lift truck? I'm just curious.
As far as teaching someone how to drive one?
No, as far as running one.
Well, it's interesting you would ask that question. That's actually a very good question. A lot of people don't think about this.
Yeah.
It is called a lift truck operator. The operation is the attachment. If you didn't have the attachment on the front of it, it's really not that much difference than your car as far as how it maneuvers. With the attachment on the front of it, that's what makes it difficult, because you're trying to put a 3 diameter hole into probably a 3.5 diameter hole. And so it takes some skill to do that. It takes precision and time and patience. And after a while, the drivers who have done it so long, and this is why you probably got that nonchalant answer from them when it's like, we're talking to you about, how it's not really nothing. After a while, the people who have experience, it's just like a feeling. It just becomes a part of them. And so they really don't think much about it, but it doesn't start off that way. It takes some skill to get there.
Yeah. So how did safety become important to you as you were in your early work life?
Well, really, I think I need to go deeper than work life. I was raised by my mother because my dad left when I was 5 years old. So my mom's a very strong, independent, hardworking woman. But when your dad is gone, it leaves a lot of insecurity in a young person's mind. And so I sort of grew up feeling unsafe because the security just wasn't there. There was never really a father role model there. So I think that's the deep root of it. And then being a only child and just a little bit spoiled. I had some trouble at school and got into some fights, and my mom put me into karate, and I got involved in karate, and I learned some self-discipline. I learned how to teach from my instructor, and all those insecurities eventually started fading away because of the confidence that I got through teaching and training.
Okay.
So it goes deeper than just my work life. I think it's psychologically deep.
Uh-huh. Well, that makes a lot of sense that you would, because I was thinking about the first thing you think about with the karate is, well, you're hurting other people, but you're not really, because you have to learn to do it safely. You're not just kicking people. There's there's a safety to it and everything. So, okay. So how does creativity fit into your work and safety and health and that kind of thing in the workplace?
Well, kind of back to the answer before, it's me trying to discover things that are probably already there in some sense, but not yet implemented at my plant, and figured out a way to bring in things that I know will work, and then having to become a little bit of a salesman to convince the people that are higher than me that I believe this will really, really work. And let's just try it and see if we can move the metric as far as the amount of injuries or the type of injuries. And so that's something that's a present challenge for me, is to introduce new ideas into a company that hasn't used them yet in order to make things better.
Yeah. I would also think that in dealing with, I don't know if you ever have to discipline or at least discuss improvements, let's put it that way, with the workers on the floor, that the creativity and sensitivity to people would be really important there, to say, you can't be doing it this way.
Right. Well, let me tell you my personal philosophy on this. And it may not be right, but it's the way that I look at it. I've had multiple stepdads in my life, and I know what it takes to be a good stepdad, and I know what it takes to be a bad stepdad because I've seen it from both sides. Yeah. And I was, I guess I still am a stepdad. And so what I use in the plant is what I call the stepdad philosophy. Yeah. When I go up to someone, I am not their authority, but if they don't do right, if they don't comply with the OSHA standards or the company policy, I will tell them this is wrong and you shouldn't be doing it. And if they will not listen to me, I turn them into my theoretical or metaphorical mom or dad, their supervisor. I don't have the authority to discipline them myself, but I'm not going to let them get hurt. And so if they don't comply with my suggestions or corrections in some cases, if they won't comply with that, then I'll just tell the supervisor. And that's the same way I raise my stepchildren. I'm not mom or dad, but I'm not going to let you get hurt. If you're going to do something that's wrong, I'll just tell dad or I'll tell your mom. Yeah. So the stepdad philosophy with the workers. And I haven't had any real issues with anybody. Most of the time they know I'm there to help them. I'm not there to hurt them. And in most cases, like 90% of the time, they just listen. I don't have really any problems. Now, sometimes, certain people, they don't want to listen, but that's not normal.
Okay. So I want to switch gears here to another passion of yours, which is Toastmasters. And you're probably the best cheerleader for Toastmasters that I've met in the organization. And I could add a few things to that, but I won't because they'll sound negative and I don't want to sound negative. But I do want to say to people listening that Jonathan is probably one of the most positive people I've ever met as well. I think some people who are in the Toastmasters organization, they're very devoted to it. But in Jonathan, I see someone who really believes in what Toastmasters is about and the value of the learning experience there. So if you were to explain Toastmasters to someone who is an adult but has never heard of it, what would you say?
Well, most people in my mind present it backwards. They talk about presentation skills and leadership skills. Yeah. And in my mind, it needs to be the other way. Toastmasters is really about building leaders. Yeah. That's the goal of Toastmasters. Now, if you're a leader, you have to speak. You have to talk to people. You have to communicate. And so the presentation skills comes out of being a leader. And so we teach people by allowing them to have roles in the organization, such as president or vice president, even secretary or treasurer. And they learn real life skills through the organization as being leaders. And they also learn how to speak and to present. So that's what Toastmasters is all about. It's about becoming a leader and a presenter / speaker.
That's interesting that you put it that way. And I can see why you do. I don't think it's the way most people think of it, especially because of the name Toastmasters. You know, you think of somebody who's going to give a toast. And so the emphasis is on giving a speech.
Right.
And which obviously there's a lot of that. And of course, then there's the competition end of it, which, you know, you've done a lot more than I ever did. But I think you're right that it is about, well, for one thing, it's impossible to be there and not you can't hide when you're in a meeting. So if you go there and you're just going to say, hey, I'm here, I'm introverted, I don't care, I'm not going to get involved, you really can't, because everybody has to take some sort of participation role, first of all. And that's a good way to get started, even if it's just keeping time, you know, which is minor, but it's important. It's very important. And then, you know, you do other things and you run the meeting. And for someone like me, when I went into Toastmasters, that was not a big deal. I'd been running meetings all my life, but I can see where for someone who maybe works in a factory and doesn't get a lot of opportunities to do that kind of thing, just running the meeting would be a major, major thing. Is that your experience?
It is my experience, and I'll give you a very specific example of this. I remember the first time that I was at a safety committee and someone mentioned the word minutes. I was like, what are you talking about? What are minutes? And the reason I bring that up as a good example, just kind of flowing off what you just said, a lot of people who work in the plant, they have no idea what business is. They've never done anything like that. They don't know what a managerial role is. They don't know what it means to be a treasurer or be a secretary. And at Toastmasters, you can learn those things because it's your role. It's your job as a Toastmaster member. That's an officer role, and it really can give people essential skills for moving up wherever they are. You know, it's for the factory worker, but I have met managers, really great managers that didn't know how to speak. And so it's also for upper management levels too. I've met really great managers who don't know how to interact with people well. Right. Toastmasters are so many different people for all walks of life. And like you said, you have to interact. It's a peer-based group, and we're all on the same level, and we just grow together. The point of Toastmasters is just to grow together.
Yes, it's very democratic in that respect because it's no sense of, well, this person has a higher job, you know, in their life. This person's a doctor. This person's a lawyer. This person's a this or that. That doesn't give them any more status than somebody else who might not be in that kind of professional position, perhaps. Yeah. So as far as then, if a person were to come to a meeting, what would they expect to see?
Well, what they should expect is it is organized. It needs to be organized so that it's ran well. And they do not have to speak as a guest. They're not required to do that, especially like their first or second time. But we are going to encourage them. The best way to get people started in speeches is table topics. And table topics are these speeches that you do off the cuff. You don't get to think about it. You don't have to prepare for it. It's just kind of like what you and me are doing right now. It's just a quick conversation about a subject. And it only lasts 2 minutes long. And a lot of people gain what I would call initial confidence by doing table topics. And then they grow into the 5 and 7 minute speeches, even the 15 or 20 and more. So they just grow by practicing with people who generally want to grow with them.
So when did you start in Toastmasters?
I have been a Toastmaster member for 9 years. They sent me a card the other day. I was so proud of it.
Okay. And Toastmasters has things called pathways. How many of those have you done? Which ones have you done, I should say?
I did the pathways presentation. I did not the dynamic leadership, but I did one of the leadership paths. I can't recall the exact title right now. And I'm currently working on the humorous path.
Okay.
So I've completed 2 and I'm working on 1 right now.
Yeah. Yes. In my time, I got through 1 pathway and I say that to say that they're hard. The pathways are not easy. That's a little deceptive because you get into it and the material is not super, theoretical or academic or anything, but you have to give speeches and you have to research speeches and practice them. And then you have to give them and listen to critique. And it's a lot of work. It's very good. I had taught public speaking for years and I still learned a lot. And one reason I got into it is because I wanted to get more experience with non-academic audiences. And unfortunately, I chose to start at a very bad time, March of 2020. It was the worst time to do anything. But it was still, a very good experience. And I just, for other people, I really recommend it whenever I am talking about public speaking or with my students. I've said this is a great thing to do once you get in a professional position or whenever. They're hard. But they stretch you a lot because and that's, of course, you don't learn unless you're stretched, and you know that. It's just there's no learning if it's easy, and it's just. I think that's why it's a good thing that companies would give, whether it's professional development credits or whatever they're called for someone being in Toastmasters. So what has Toastmasters done for you professionally?
Well, one of the best things about Toastmasters is whatever your job is, it really doesn't matter. At some point, if you're a leader, you have to speak and present. Yeah. It's just part of the title of leader. It goes with it. So for me, for example, a lot of times when I'm needing to make one of my safety presentations better, I bring it to my Toastmaster peers. I give the speech and they critique me and I get better. I can't tell you how many times I've brought a brand new safety presentation to my Toastmaster peers and have had it critiqued and have improved because I brought the presentation there. And so that's what it's designed for, is for any person that's going to give any type of presentation, they come to their group, they practice and they get better, and then they can take it out and apply it to the real world. That's how it's designed to work.
Right. And in the pathways, the assignments are very practical kinds of things. Some require research, but some are more personality based as well. What would you say it's done for you personally?
What's the question again?
What has Toastmasters done for you personally?
Well, now that's my professional life, but there's often times when I have a different type of presentation that I need to work on in practice. Like even sometimes I'll work on things for Sunday school at Toastmasters. And I'll tell you something that is the greatest gift of Toastmasters that people don't think about, but they should. It's the friendships you gain.
Yeah.
It's the fellowship that you gain. Our mutual friend that we both love so much, Jerry Dry, has recently become a spiritual and speaking mentor to me. I can go to him with any questions about my Sunday school lesson or life or whatever. Yeah. The friendships is one of those intangibles that people don't think about, but it's definitely there. I totally consider my Toastmaster friends some of my best friends in my entire life.
Yeah. I miss you all. So I come to the meetings sometimes. And it's interesting because obviously it's presented, as a networking thing, but networking is more than just knowing people so that they can help you get another job or something. It should be about friendships, about relationships. It should be deeper than that. So I want to be clear to listeners that Jonathan has won lots of awards in Toastmasters, and he's done a whole string of jobs and roles. I don't know what you haven't done. Could you just mention a few of those?
As far as the roles, as far as officers?
Yeah. I mean, you've done things at the higher level.
Oh, I was an area director once.
Yeah.
And it was like during the worst time, like what you were talking about. I was the area director during COVID. And so that made my job as the area director really, really tough. But I still hung in there. And I can only say that we survived. I can't say that we really thrived during that time. But I was a director. I've been the president of the club. I've been the vice president of education like you were once. And I've always been the sergeant of arms because I'm the one that gets us into the building and opens up and gets everything ready. I like being the sergeant of arms. So that's probably it's probably the lowest role as far as officer roles go, but it's the one that I like best.
Sorry, this is where you pause. Okay, never mind. One of the reasons I started this podcast was because I have a deep interest in creativity and how the brain is creative, and also because of my background teaching public speaking. So how did these two things work together for you? In other words, how has Toastmasters helped your creativity and life in the workplace?
That is a great, great question. I haven't done it in a while, but I was at one time a competitive speaker. And when you design a speech, you word craft it, you put it together to win a competition.
Yeah.
It pulls something out of you as far as creativity is concerned, because the number one part of giving a good speech is to have a really wonderful attention getter. And you need really great creative skills to build the best attention getter. My favorite method, there's lots of methods. I don't think any method's better than others, but my favorite method is to ask the audience a question. I want to pull their mind into what I'm about to tell them. I want to get their mind and heart first, and then they will start listening to the information. So building that attention getter takes a lot of creativity.
So if it sounds like I'm trying to do a commercial here for Toastmasters, I kind of am doing that. The best tool of the public speaker is a story. So bear with me while I tell you mine. So I'm going to talk here about something that happened a couple weeks ago. And I got to give some background first. When I was working at the college, we got a grant to write a textbook. And we figured we would just use the textbook at the college. That's all we had to do. But part of the grant was, which was from the University System of Georgia, it had to be on a website for other people to use. And the book is free. It's a free digital resource. But a lot of times with these digital resources, they would just be sort of like syllabi or lesson plans or something like that. This is a full digital book, 400 some pages, colors, photographs, exercises. It's a full book. And we're very proud of it. And because it was put on a website and it's available that way, I get a lot of letters and emails from people about it. And they want things like slides to go with it and test banks and stuff. And even though I tell them that it will not be updated because I'm retired and they're free to do anything they want with it. They don't have to pay for it. They can change it as long as they give us credit. Well, I said all that to say that a couple weeks ago, someone at the college called me and said they had a letter for me. And they said it was legal. And I got scared and I said, is this a letter from a lawyer? And she said, well, no, it's handwritten. I said, oh, it's from somebody in prison who's read the book. And so this was from a guy in Arkansas it was interesting because in the letter, he didn't say anything about being in prison, but I've gotten a couple of these before from other places. One was from Washington State. So, but in this letter, he said that he had tried to get the prison officials to let him start a Toastmasters club in the prison, but they didn't approve it. And that he wanted a copy of my book because in the prisons, they're only allowed online for a certain amount of time. And it's a digital book. And I don't really have physical copies. We don't do that. So I told him if he would get the librarian of the prison in touch with me, I could help him out. I could see that they got a book for the library, not for him. But I said all that to say, have you ever heard of Toastmasters in prison populations?
Yes. It's what's called a gavel club.
Okay. Okay.
A gavel club means basically that it's a member who cannot pay. And obviously someone who's in prison can't pay.
Yeah.
And you can use it for like high schools and students and, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. All a gavel club means it's the same material. Everything's exactly the same. I think it's the old legacy material rather than Pathways. I'm not sure about that. But what Toastmaster calls it is a gavel club. And what a gavel club means is a person who cannot pay. Yeah. And that would be for prisoners.
Okay. Well, I did write him a long letter back, and I mentioned that and about the gavel club, and that maybe his administrators could look into that because I guess they were not wanting to pay the money. But so if I have any more dealings with him, I'll tell him that again. Okay. That's interesting. Do you know how often it is used in prison populations?
Just to be honest with you, I have not done any research into that. I could find out for you. I've got, a lot of resources and contacts within Toastmasters, and I could find out for you. But personally, I've never researched it. I know that we still offer it right now at Lingo Masters. If someone wants to come and grow as a leader, I have all the legacy material. We'll let them learn with us. If someone can't pay, we won't not let them come. We'll let anybody come. Yeah. Our club is open like that. We're not a closed corporate club. We're a community club. Right. We have corporate members, but we're open to whoever wants to grow with us. Whoever wants to come and grow, we're there for them.
Okay. So, so I just thought, Toastmasters would be great for prisons because, I don't want to be smart, but, they do have a lot of time on their hands. And it would be good if they could learn communication skills. And there's a lot of skills that they could learn in Toastmasters that would help them if and when they get out, So finally, you mentioned the karate and that you got into it. Your mom put you in it? How old were you?
Let's see. I think I started when I was 15 or 16. Okay. Maybe a little bit younger than that. Yeah. Been a while. But I was a teenager for sure.
Did you like it at first, or did you take you a while?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it from the beginning. It was, I kind of like finally found my place. This is something I can be good at. I didn't have, like I told you before, I didn't have a father that taught me the ball sports or golf or any of those types of things or hunting or anything like that. But when my mom put me in karate, I met Mr. Ben Cocker, and he became like an immediate father figure to me. And he's taken in a lot of people like me. And he just put into us, and we gained confidence. And, the best testimony I can tell you about karate is I was getting in trouble. I was getting in fights before I started karate. And then after I started, all that stopped. It just went away.
That's interesting.
It just stopped.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is an interesting place to stop. And it's very much a testament to that, to karate. I have never heard that before. Not that I was thinking people that get into karate want to go start fights. I never thought of it in those terms for a young man who might be tempted to get in fights. Yeah.
Well, there's one word I want to add to it, and then just a little bit of explanation.
Sure.
The key word here is confidence. Before I started karate, I never had any confidence because I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
After I started, I gained that confidence. And then the other part that I wanted to add is my karate instructor, Ben Cocker, is a very strong Christian, has taught Sunday school for probably over 50 years. And he taught me karate, but it was a tool for reaching me even deeper with Christ. So my Christian karate instructor gave me confidence, and that's what changed me a lot. It's kind of the point of Toastmasters as well. Confidence. The word is confidence.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being on the episode today, Jon. And I look forward to seeing you at another Toastmasters meeting soon.
Please come see us. We enjoyed you last time.
Okay. And I'm sure that I would like to end with you doing a little bit of an announcement of where someone can come to the local Toastmasters meeting in Dalton.
Okay. It's the last Saturday of every month at First Baptist Church of Dalton. It's very easy to find. It's in between the police station and the fire department, the safest place in town.
Right. Corner of Law and Thornton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always put the signs out so they'll come directly to the Grace Sunday School room. That's where we meet. And that meeting starts, as far as networking, at 10:15 on the quarter hour for networking. But we actually start the official meeting at 10:30. And so that is our Saturday meeting. And then we meet the second Tuesday of every month at Dalton State College in the Brown building. And that meeting is a evening meeting. And it's actually at 5:15 for networking and 5:30 for the official start time of the meeting.
Good. Okay. And I'm assuming you're meeting in the same place where you walk right in the Brown Center. You're on the second floor, and it's right there.
Yes, I love that room. You take a right, and you take an immediate right and immediate left, and that's the first room. It has stadium seating, which I've always loved. I went to Dalton State College, and that was one of the cool things about it. And so it feels like you're in college. And the coolest thing about our club is we've got several professors in there. So it's like you're learning from people who really know how to teach. You're getting the same type of training in some cases without paying a whole lot of money.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And I just want everybody to know that they're welcome to come to those meetings that Jon just talked about. Thanks, Jon.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Look forward to seeing you next time.